Now, one of the functions of the judiciary, apart from giving decision to the cases before them, is also to develop the law.
Yes.
And that is why we need judges who are capable of reading, of writing, and of working hard. Because the law does not stand still.
Yes.
The law is life.
Rules.
The law is life. Without life, there is no law. You can see how many laws which occurred, let's say, 100 years ago, is so different from today. It's so different because it is life. Human beings change, the laws will change. We should have judges capable of writing, developing the law, so that we can guide to the younger generation of lawyers. When they come to court, they can always quote it. Of course, apart from having to change the method of appointment of the judiciary, we must also have other measures to deal with. Now, the Constitution doesn't say the judiciary must be independent. It doesn't say so. You cannot read any expression throughout the Constitution. The judges are independent, judiciary independent, courts independent, those such things. This expression, judicial independence, is really extracted out from the various provisions of the Constitution. You see? Only by having to learn all this provision in the Constitution which deal with the judges, then only you can say that there is a judicial independence. What is the most important provision? The most important provision is the vesting of the judicial authority. There is provision in the Constitution before it is amended. The judicial authority of the Federation shall be vested in the High Court and other courts. But since the Anglo 11 case, there was a fear of the government that the judiciary may interfere, so the government changed or rather amended the Constitution by having to abolish this question, vesting of judicial authority. De-vesting, in other words, no longer vesting. The second thing the government is doing after I left is to take away the power of judicial review from the court. The one that is existing today is very limited scale, on a very limited scale. The power of judicial review, ladies and gentlemen, is that any citizen who would really feel dissatisfied with the act or decision of the executive, the government, administrative authorities, public authority, etc., can come to court and challenge the legality. But this is all gone. And the next point that the government interfered with is to pass a number of legislation giving power to the government or to its agency to make a decision to be a final decision, and therefore cannot be challenged in court. Good example you can see the case of Printing Press Act. Decision of the minister in charge of the press is final. You can't change it in court. So what is the use of having a court? So what it means to me is much more serious than that. Because judicial authority of the Federation is in the court. This is a serious matter actually. That means you set aside the judges. You set aside the judiciary. So why the judiciary to become an ornament only? Now, take for example the question of Section 27 of the Police Act, which requires the permit from OCPD and later on to get the permit or the permission from the CPO. Normally the police, the OCPD delay giving the decision whether to give or not to give at the last moment. When it's given, there's no time to go to the CPO. So it means the freedom of speech is only in the hand of the police. And yet the Constitution says every citizen has got the right to speak. Right to speak, right to assemble, right to form association. And yet it's all done stopped by the police. They've got no power to stop. They've got no power to prohibit actually. But unfortunately in this country, nobody ever challenged this in court. I would like to see this being challenged in court. You see, there is a way out. When the law says the decision of the minister is final, a brave judge can say, yes, you can make a decision final only as far as fact is concerned. But as regards law, I have got the final. So the first thing to do, if you really want to bring back the judiciary, is form a position, because it is going to be a very long process. It may take about 20 or 30 years or even 40 years, even 100 years maybe. You see? First, the method of appointment. Secondly, the vesting clause in the Constitution must be restored by amending the Constitution. Thirdly, the tenure of office of judges must make sure that the judges will not feel afraid of making a decision. Yeah? And fourthly, of course, the judges, there must be also a method of removing judges if the judges are really not capable of doing the job or unable because of health to perform the duty. I think these are the very, very important things. In this country, after I had left the judiciary, I think they started a system of judges on probation. They don't call judges on probation.
Judicial Commissioner.
They call it Judicial Commissioner. But to me, this system militates against independent judiciary. How can a man on probation feel free to make a decision knowing full well that he may not get through the confirmation? Then, next point I want to bring, apart from having to have all this restoration, I think the protocol of judges must be looked into. They must represent really the third branch of the government. They are not to be lumped together with the executive. Thank you very much for listening.